Hello everyone, welcome back to the Valley News Now desk. As Duke Schindler here once again with you here for an NBC Special Report that we're going to take you out to in just a second here, as a big major shooting happening in Minneapolis as an immigration and customs law enforcement officer shot and killed a Minneapolis motorist. That happened early Wednesday morning during the Trump administration's latest immigration crackdown on a major American city. Now, the shooting that federal officials claim was an act of self-defense, but the city's mayor described it as reckless and unnecessary as he had a press conference earlier here today. So we want to get you out here to the NBC Special Report as it is currently in progress.
And the safety of the public fired defensive shots. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. Thankfully, the ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. City officials holding a news conference in the last hour with the Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, sending a strong message to ICE, telling them to leave Minneapolis now. Take a listen.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you.
At the same time, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem addressed the shooting at a separate news conference near the border in Texas, calling it an act of domestic terrorism. Let's take a listen.
So a couple of questions there. You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
Want to be very clear here. So far from the videos that we have seen, and we will keep showing them here, that is not exactly what has happened from the videos that we have seen. From the videos that we're seeing here, ICE agents approach a vehicle that is blocking them. The woman reverses. There is an ICE agent clearly in her direction, and it appears that ICE agent fires at least 2 shots at the woman, killing her. Again, the woman sped off. She was in the line of sight directly in front of that ICE agent. She did not stop her car. The ICE agent fired. She crashes her vehicle. Again, there are several different angles of this incident right now. We are looking at all of them, and we're giving you all the information we have at this hour. I do want to bring in NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, this just speaks to sort of the heightened level of intensity that is happening there in Minneapolis. We know that since at least December, according to NBC News, 1,400 people have been arrested in these ICE operations. What was happening today, do we know, in that area before this happened?
Well, they had targeted this area, again, for more ICE operations to build on that 1,400. So many of the arrests have been made just since Sunday, when ICE sent over 2,000 agents to Minneapolis area. And today was the day Border Patrol also started an increased presence and operations in Minneapolis. So tensions, Tom, were already high before this incident took place. And of course, it comes after the Trump administration has fired back at Governor Tim Walz. In that statement from the Department of Homeland Security about this incident, they blame Walz and the city's sanctuary policies for incidents like these. But as you can see very clearly in this video, Tom, it does not appear that this person sought out these officers. They are coming to her car. As she goes into reverse, we see, of course, from the back of the car, so it's not clear if the officer at the hood of the car could have thought that he was moving closer to her before she attempted to turn her wheel. But I've been speaking to senior DHS officials who are familiar with ICE's training, and the way they train federal officers really across the government is that they are only supposed to use their weapons and fire at a person if there's an immediate threat of injury or death. And so typically, typically an incident like this would be investigated to determine if the officer used his or her weapon because the bar had reached that height. Instead, what we're seeing today is very quick dissemination of information, both from DHS in terms of statements and from Secretary Kristi Noem, quick to say this was an act of domestic terrorism and that it builds on what they say is an increase in threats and assaults on ICE officers, only ratcheting up the tension further between federal law enforcement and city leaders in Minneapolis and Minnesota.
Yeah, Julia, we've covered a lot of these cases where someone is in a car and the car is approaching a police officer in that manner, whether at a high speed. We'll learn more exactly how fast they were going, and the car is considered a lethal weapon. Courts have upheld that. In this case, it appears, again, from this video, she is clearly moving forward. There is an ICE agent in front of her. It is for experts, and I'm sure at some point, maybe even a court of law, to look at this and say, was the ICE agent in the right? Was his life threatened? Was this driver in the wrong in not stopping, not surrendering when they were trying to get into her car and trying to open her door? I do want to bring in Jim Cavanaugh right now. He is a retired ATF special agent. He's one of our NBC News analysts. Jim, we're seeing one angle. There's another angle out there as well. But from what you can see in this video, what exactly happened here? And I know it is very, very early, and maybe even too early to sort of ask the question of who was right and who was wrong. But what are you seeing here with your eyes?
Well, we're seeing a person who was, being stopped in the street. Her vehicle's across the street, and ICE agents are trying to talk to her. There's an agent right next to the driver's window, Tom, trying to talk to her, and she accelerates to escape, apparently. We don't know her exact motivation, but to leave, to not comply with the officer's demands. There's another ICE agent, though, in front of the SUV. And what it will hinge on is the officer's belief, who fired the shots, the one who's in front, that he believed he was under imminent threat of death or great bodily harm by being struck by the vehicle. Now, I think what's critical in the case is going to be the angle of shot. For example, if the shots are through the side driver's window, the side window, then, that's not really justifiable use of force because the car's passing you. But if they're from the front, and from some of the bullet hole photographs I've looked at online, there appears to be one through the windshield, the front of the windshield, just directly on the driver's side fender, and a couple more that may be bullet holes right below that in the body. And they said the officer fired 3 times. This puts him more directly in the path of the vehicle. He has a millisecond to decide if he's going to be run over or not.
And then, Jim, I guess the critical question is, Jim, the critical question is, what is most law enforcement training if that vehicle indeed was in front of him and heading towards him?
No, you use deadly force because you don't want to be run over. So you're justified to use deadly force to stop the action from running you over or hitting you. Even if you're hit with the headlight or the front fender, you could be seriously injured. Now, that's not to say it was justified. We don't know exactly, Tom, because the body-worn cameras of the ICE agents have to be analyzed. The statements of the agent, and especially the agent who fired his weapon, has to be analyzed. The witness videos have to be looked at. There has to be measurements. Everything has to be looked at carefully. But if it's reasonable that he thought he was going to be run over and he's being assaulted and maybe run over, he can use deadly force. Tom, a lot of times people say, he didn't think he was going to be run over. But when you're the person that's going to be run over, right, it's a millisecond you have to decide.
It is still very early, and tensions are still very high there in Minneapolis, and I'm sure we're going to learn much more in the minutes and hours ahead as we continue to cover this throughout the day here. We're going to stay on top of this. This is going to conclude this NBC News Special Report right now. We're going to have much more ahead on NBC News Now, online at NBCNews.com, and a full wrap-up tonight on NBC Nightly News. We will come back on the air when events warrant it. I'm Tom Yamas. We thank you for watching it.
And we'll bring you back here to the desk, as that was the NBC Special Report. Now, if you kind of miss what pretty much happened there, well, there was a shooting early this morning in Minneapolis, as an Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer did shoot and kill a Minneapolis motorist on Wednesday during Trump's latest immigration crackdown on Minneapolis and the Twin Cities as well. Now, You heard from both sides there. Can't add too much to it since we really don't know too much about this subject as it stands right now. A lot of finger pointing here and there, but we're going to keep you updated on what we can find here and keep you informed here on the Valley News Now desk. As we saw, at least 2 shots were fired, especially watching that video. And then just during this immigration crackdown, at least since December, at least 1,400 people have been arrested under ICE. Now, they were only supposed to, when it comes down to these situations, you heard the expert analysis there from the lawyer. These agents are really only supposed to use their weapons when there's a fear of serious injury or death, and that's according to Homeland Security. Now, and you heard that before too, that a car is considered a lethal weapon in this scenario. So we'll see how this plays out. There's going to be a lot more coming out about this as the day goes on. So we're going to make sure to keep you updated as we move throughout the night, as this is a very big incident happening once again in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities. But that's all I have for you here right now on the Valley News Now desk. For Duke Schindler, we'll catch you later.